Now it's been close to 4 years since I regularly post on YouTube, and my go-to camera has always been my A6400. So I think it's time for an upgrade. This is the Sony ZV-E1. In this video, I'll be sharing with you guys my 5 reasons why I got this and 1 reason why I hate or dislike about it. Before we begin, I'm sure you guys have already seen footages from this. Now, where was it? If you watched my video on my Insta360 Go 3S, most of the footages there are actually shot on the Sony ZV-E1. Did you notice a difference? I bet some of you guys out there noticed. Let's talk about the first reason, which is product showcase. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've been doing this in my videos. Why? Because most of the cameras out there will actually focus on my face rather than the product that is in front. Having this feature will allow the camera to focus on the product that I'm showing rather than on my face. Now, of course, this feature isn't new. Sony already has it on their Sony ZV-E1 and the Sony ZV-E10, which are the line of cameras that are dedicated for vloggers or content creators. So chances are, if you hear the ZV naming in the camera, it will have this function. Now, since we're talking about my new camera, it also needs to have a lens to accompany it, as it's a full frame camera and not an APS-C camera such as my A6400, which I'm filming with right now. So what lens did I got? This is the Sigma 18mm 2.8. Now, why did I get this rather than getting the kit lens? The kit lens on this full frame camera is a little restrictive. It's about 28 to 60 mm. Most of the videos that you see on my channel are actually shot with the kit lens for my APS-C camera, which is 16 to 50, which equates somewhere to about 24 mm. I enjoy having a wider view to be able to get more close-up shots rather than somewhere that I need to zoom in all the time. And above that, this lens only weighs slightly more than 100 grams, which keeps things really light. Alright, let's attach them and have a look. But can you guys see the full frame goodness of the ZV-E1? Beautiful, isn't it? Above this lens being very light, it also has a good minimum focus distance, which is important as most of you guys notice that my style of filming will always involve an out of focus shot. And having a good minimum focus distance helps me to achieve that well. And of course, it being at f2.8 allows me to have nicer bokeh at the back. With a new lens, I will definitely need new ND filters, right? Of course. And actually, I've been looking at a particular brand called Kentfaith because their ND filters have a variable ND to it. And guess what? They actually reached out to me. I'm not joking, they really did. And of course, I said yes. This is the Kentfaith variable ND and CPL filter. Look, and it comes in this very nice pouch. Filter holder, I mean. Take a look at it. Now let's mount it up. Now, what I love about this is that they actually have this orange color level that allows me to be able to adjust the ND. Most ND filters out there are not variable, meaning that you have to change it depending on the ND that you want. But for this, all I have to do is just to turn the knob to be able to adjust the amount of ND that my lens would receive, which is so convenient. And of course, the second layer of this is that it has a CPL filter. It basically helps you to eliminate reflected light from the sun against different surfaces, which makes you have a better and a clearer footage. Look at this drastic difference. It's like the day version of the night vision. Don't forget, having filters also provides a layer of protection for your expensive lenses. Going back to the VND filter, it has a filter range about ND2 all the way up to about 32. Here's a quick video on how it looks like. One more advantage of this VND, it has this technology called Nano X, which is written at the cover over here. Which basically means that you will not receive this X thing once you've adjusted the VND. Other lower quality VND will have this X, as most of the lenses inside actually have moving parts which cause this X to appear, which is extremely ugly and sometimes even creates this vignetting at the side if you have not adjusted it properly. So this 2-in-1 VND is a filter thread about 58 for my Samyang lens, but of course they have different filter threads depending on the lenses that you are looking for. I like how well and high quality it looks in its design. Adjusting it is so smooth, especially with the design on the lens itself. For those who are interested, do check out the link in the description down below, as well as use my coupon code to be able to get additional offers. Discount! Either ways, I foresee seeing this filter in front of my lens for quite a long time. Moving on, reason number 2 is its battery life. Now, in the battery of the Sony ZV-E1 is the new NP-FZ100 battery. Inside each of these batteries have a capacity about 2280 mAh, which is double of what I usually have on my Sony NP-FV50. In my recent video on the Insta360 Go 3S, all of the talking head videos are just shot using just one battery. I shot to a total about 4 hours off and on, but it even still has a 25% battery left after the whole day shoot. If I were to stick with my A6400 using these NP-F50 batteries, it will at least need 2.5 batteries to have it shot in 4K. Having a better battery is not only good to be able to shoot all day, but it actually reduces all of these interruptions having to change the battery once in a while. Guess what? My A6400 is actually running out of battery right now. I literally have to change it. Alright, so let's off it first. Oops. Alright, so most of the time I have to flip the screen back up to have it orientate the correct position. If not, my image will be inverted. Moving on to third on the list is that it is full frame and can shoot in 4K at 10-bit 422. Now, what is this 10-bit 422 crap that most content creators are talking about? Basically, most cameras out there can only shoot in 8-bit, which is about 16 million varieties of color. Having 10-bit can shoot more than 10 times that color range, up to about 1 billion colors. Basically, covering a much wider range of colors on your screen. So why does it matter and what does it translate to? Now, if you guys have seen certain videos, they have actually this effect, which is basically color banding. Color banding happens if the compression is not done well and if the footages does not have a good dynamic range. Having this 10-bit means that it's near impossible for this to happen. And of course, this camera being in full frame allows me to have better low light performances and nicer bokeh. I also now no longer need to do this 1.5 multiplication because my previous sensor was actually APS-C. Whatever lens focal range that I get is literally what I get. There's no need to do multiplications for its focal range or its aperture number. I also now able to enjoy this thing called the dual ISO, which basically means that if I have to shoot it at a particular ISO of about 12,800, I will have much lesser noise. There's some interesting technology that's been going on, but basically it benefits me if I'm actually shooting in low light conditions. Number 4, it has this new dynamic active stabilization. Now, most Sony cameras out there will only have 2 types of stabilization, the standard and the active. This camera has a layer that is above it called the dynamic active, which also means that it actually crops in a little bit more by having much better stabilization. Here's a quick footage on all of these different stabilization modes that I mentioned. So you guys do notice that there has been a crop to it, which was one of the reasons why I got 18mm in the very first place. Because there's nearly about 25 to 30% crop, having this 18mm lens gives me to about something close to 23 to about 40mm, which was very similar with most of the videos that you guys have seen on my channel, such as this look. This look to me is just wide enough while not distorting the sides. This whole scene is actually shot with my 16mm Sigma, which after the APS-C crop comes in about 24mm. 24mm is wide enough while not having the sides unnaturally distorted. So the combination of this 18mm along with dynamic active gives me about 24mm while having this good stabilization that is unique to this lineup. Now some of you guys might be wondering, didn't Sony already has their own catalyst browse that is able to stabilize footages? Yes, but it's really slow and sometimes even crashes. The process of using Sony catalyst browse was also extremely torturing. You can't process all of your footages at once. You have to process one footage by one footage at a time. I can't tell you how frustrating it was. So having this dynamic stabilization makes things a lot easier. Now last but not least is its integrated Hotshoe mount. Now if you can see up close, there's this Hotshoe mount over here which looks normal from the front, but inside it has this integrated system which allows their own cameras, their own microphones to be able to integrate into the camera without having wires. Now most of you guys already know that I'm using the Rode Wireless Go 2 and I will need to attach this input into my cameras. The wire sometimes, if I'm not careful, gets loose and actually affects the audio quality. A potential mic that I'm looking at is able to integrate into this Hotshoe, which is actually the DJI Mic 2. It has this component which you can just slot at the top, which negates the need to have wires, avoiding the chances of it having bad audio. Now to be fair, I'm not going to make any promises, it's just something that I've been thinking about. I might get it, I might not get it. Because I'm very satisfied with the Rode Wireless Go 2, which is actually currently I'm using right now. Yes, I'm using a clip-on mic in an indoor environment because I can't seem to get the kind of isolation that I want. So having this Rode Wireless Go 2 attached to this clip-on microphone is my usual indoor setup, and if I'm outdoors, you guys will just see this being attached to my body. But going back to my point is that it has this potential of having this kind of technology integrated. Godox even has a microphone that is able to integrate it in right now. So it's a matter of time before other brands catch up, and having this potential is definitely going to be very useful in the near future. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is what I dislike and hate about the Sony ZV-E1. Now the Sony ZV-E1 has only 12 megapixels, which is less than half of what I'm used to. My Sony A6400 has about 20 or 24 megapixels, but my Sony A7 II has 24 megapixels. Now this is a problem because if I were to go for my food shoots and I need another full frame camera, these 12 megapixels will be a bit restrictive if my clients wants those photos to be able to be printed out. I really can't figure why is this happening. Now you might be wondering, this might only happen for the ZV line. Actually no, the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II has about 26 megapixels. Now what is that about? If Sony were to target the ZV line to have lesser megapixels, I would totally understand. But it seems that they are just trying to cripple this camera just for the sake of it. But of course, to be fair, I'm actually using this mainly for its video capabilities, and having to think that one camera can do it all is just a wishful thinking. Another small gripe since we're at it is that it has a micro HDMI. Right at the side over here, you will see that it still has a micro HDMI. Some other cameras in the Sony lineup has the larger HDMI, which is important if I will need to have an external monitor. Having a micro HDMI means that I have to go through more hassle to be able to extend to other types of monitors out there. Sony, why? Now, to be fair, I already know that they have these downsides before getting this camera. Overall, I'm still very satisfied with what this camera has to offer compared with whatever that is out there. That was the very reason why I chose this over other models such as the A7 IV or the A7C II. For all those who are out there, if you ask me would I recommend this camera, I would say maybe start with the APS-C line first. Go for the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. It also has this product showcase and uses the newer NP-FZ100 batteries. But for all those who want to hop from the APS-C to the full frame line, and if you are a content creator, then this would be a very good option. You get the technology of the sensor, which is the one they use for the A7S III and the FX3. And it comes in at about 2,000 bucks, 30 to 40% cheaper than the A7S III or the FX3. So what do you guys think about the pointers that I mentioned on the Sony ZV-E1? Are they valid? Are they reasonable? I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments below. If not, see you guys in the next video.